Starliner left without them, and they are now, of course, going to stay on the International Space Station. And so there are lots of questions.
Elon Musk just revealed something shocking. This is such bad news for the stranded Boeing Starliners astronauts. It points directly at Boeing's troubled Starliner program and the clear divide between their journey and SpaceX's dominance. Elon Musk recently made a remark that has caught the attention of both space enthusiasts and the industry alike. The stranded Boeing Starliners astronauts are not with us anymore. While this might seem like a dramatic statement, there's more behind these words than just competition between aerospace companies. This serves as a stark reminder that within the high-stakes arena of space travel, every decision made and every design flaw uncovered sends ripples through time and space, ultimately threatening the very spirit of exploration. Let me explain. What's happening? Right now, astronauts are swirling through the vastness of space, their thrill matched only by the anxiety of not knowing when they'll be coming home. This announcement just makes it worse. You might be asking yourself, how did we get here? And what does it mean for the future of human spaceflight? The Boeing Starliner program, once a beacon of hope for safe and reliable transport to the International Space Station, has slid into chaos, leaving astronauts trapped and raising serious eyebrows at Boeing and NASA's partnerships. As humanity boldly steps into the uncharted territories beyond our planet, we are continually faced with the duality of excitement and danger. The thrill of space travel, that tantalizing allure, often collides head-on with the unsettling realities of engineering failures and the inherent risks that accompany human life in such an unforgiving domain. Nowhere is this precarious balance more vividly illustrated than in the current predicament surrounding Boeing Starliner, a spacecraft crafted with the lofty ambition to transport astronauts seamlessly to and from the International Space Station. Initially celebrated as a groundbreaking achievement promising a new era of dependable crew transport, the situation has morphed into a crisis tinged with uncertainty, escalating distrust, and the looming fear of astronauts stranded in the void of space. How big of a deal is, though? Well, in this tense atmosphere, the extraordinary predicament of two astronauts currently trapped aboard the International Space Station casts a stark shadow over the narrative of the Starliner program. Their protracted presence in orbit, a mission that was supposed to be temporary, has raised urgent concern throughout NASA and the wider aerospace community. As they cling to their isolation high above the Earth, with no quick resolution in sight, the fundamental tenets of human space travel are thrown into jeopardy. Timeliness, safety, and reliability now hang precariously in the balance. This alarming scenario is riddled with challenges: the psychological toll on the astronauts, the relentless logistical nightmares of resupplying them, and an unsettling erosion of faith in Boeing's engineering prowess create a trifecta of concern. Compounding these issues is NASA's faltering trust in the Boeing Starliner program, a theme that has emerged as central to the unfolding crisis. Once seen as a vital element of the agency's ambitious commercial crew program aimed at restoring American prowess in accessing the International Space Station, Boeing now grapples with skepticism regarding its ability to ensure the safe return of astronauts from the fringes of space. A series of technical issues has marred Starliner's credibility, leading to costly delays that have further fanned the flames of doubt. Amidst this backdrop of eroding confidence, NASA finds itself ensnared in a critical predicament. How can it possibly prepare for future missions when one of its essential partners struggles to fulfill even the most basic commitments? How did the Boeing Starliner program become like this? The Boeing Starliner was initially seen as a key player in NASA's commercial crew program, created to transport astronauts to the International Space Station. Alongside SpaceX's Crew Dragon, the Starliner was a central piece in NASA's strategy to return crewed launches to US soil. In theory, this program was to break the reliance on Russian spacecraft to ferry astronauts to the International Space Station, restoring American independence in space travel. This undertaking encapsulates years of substantial investment, rigorous research, and collaboration within the realm of human spaceflight. Yet despite its lofty aspirations, the path to success has been fraught with challenges, leading to enduring doubts regarding the program's feasibility and reliability. In an alliance that began in 2014, Boeing joined forces with NASA to spearhead the development of the CST-100 Starliner as a fundamental element of the commercial crew program. The primary goal? To ensure the safe and efficient transport of astronauts astronauts to and from the International Space Station. This state-of-the-art spacecraft is capable of accommodating up to 7 crew members or a mix of crew and cargo bound for low Earth orbit. Within its design lie advanced avionics, autonomous docking capabilities, and robust safety features, all aimed at safeguarding the lives of its occupants. The Starliner program showcases Boeing's rich history in aerospace manufacturing intertwined with cutting-edge technology, created to reduce costs and bolster the safety of spaceflight in an era where every ounce of reliability is crucial. However, the historical significance of the Starliner doesn't stop at engineering marvels. It resonates deeply within the context of NASA's overall objectives. The inception of the commercial crew program emerged from a pressing need to restore American access to the International Space Station after the retirement of the Space Shuttle program in 2011. This transition marked a pivotal shift toward public-private partnerships in the realm of space exploration, injecting vibrancy into the commercial space sector that had long been dormant. By incorporating Boeing alongside SpaceX, NASA sought to ignite competition and foster a spirit of innovation, inevitably steering the industry towards improved safety and reliability standards. Yet, as the Starliner program has encountered various setbacks, the ramifications extend well beyond its own capabilities. They cast a long shadow over NASA's overarching goals and the broader tapestry of human spaceflight. Each delay and technical glitch reverberates through the halls of the space agency, leaving decision-makers grappling with the consequences of relying on a partner that has consistently struggled to meet stringent deadlines. The implications are profound. The successes and failures of the Starliner hold significant weight in shaping the future landscape of space exploration and America's role within it. But what exactly happened to Boeing? Well, let me break it down for you. The turning point began with the Starliner's first uncrewed test flight, commonly referred to as the orbital flight test. Launched in December 2019, this flight was expected to be a typical demonstration, the kind that paves the way for future advancements. However, what transpired was nothing short of disheartening. The mission, instead of showcasing the spacecraft's capabilities, was crippled by significant software issues. A critical malfunction prevented the Starliner from executing a proper docking maneuver with the International Space Station, leaving the mission incomplete. In the aftermath, thorough investigations revealed troubling quality control shortcomings that raised immediate doubts about Boeing's commitment to safety. This debacle cast a long shadow over the program, forcing stakeholders to question whether Boeing could truly adhere to NASA's stringent safety standards. Unfortunately, the troubles did not terminate with the completion of this test. In the wake of that inaugural flight, Boeing found itself entrenched in a series of unforgiving technical delays, budget overruns, and regulatory hurdles that seem to multiply with alarming rapidity. The intricate nature of modern spacecraft development means that unforeseen challenges often blend technical issues with bureaucratic obstacles, and this complexity has compounded Boeing's struggles. Costs have ballooned, and timelines initially projected for the Starliner's operational readiness have been pushed further into the future than anyone had anticipated. Frustration is palpable, not just within NASA, but throughout the aerospace industry as observers begin to voice their skepticism regarding Boeing's capabilities to deliver. Yet, lurking beneath these surface-level complications are even more profound and unsettling concerns centered around safety. Safety is not merely a box to be checked in the realm of human spaceflight. It is the very cornerstone that supports the premise of sending astronauts into the great unknown. The persistent technical issues that have plagued the Starliner program have ignited serious alarms about the overall reliability of the vehicle. With each setback, NASA's initial confidence begins to deteriorate, overshadowed by mounting fears of potential technical deficiencies and catastrophic failures. The stakes are nothing short of life and death. With astronauts' lives hanging precariously in the balance, the pressure on Boeing to deliver a spacecraft that not only meets safety standards but exceeds them has reached critical levels. Boeing must now confront the formidable task of restoring confidence, not only in its spacecraft, but in the broader mission to guide humanity into an audacious new era of space exploration. Will they rise above these challenges or falter in the face of overwhelming odds? Only time will tell, but there is one thing we know for certain. The crisis is unfolding. At the forefront of this crisis is the urgent plight of 2 astronauts who now find themselves stranded aboard the International Space Station. Initially slated for a standard, routine mission, these brave individuals are now engulfed in uncertainty regarding their return. What should have been a seamless journey has turned into an ordeal with no definitive end in sight. This extended stay disrupts not only their essential onboard experiments and work schedules, but also imposes significant emotional and physical challenges that weigh heavily on their well-being. The stress of an ambiguous timeline amplifies their anxiety, heightening their sense of isolation in the vastness of space. Compounding their difficulties are the glaring technical failures that have emerged within the Starliner systems. As discrepancies become increasingly apparent, concerns surrounding the safety of the crew are heightened dramatically. Malfunctions have stagnated the spacecraft's return capabilities, instigating critical questions about its overall reliability. Each passing day in orbit raises alarm bells regarding the myriad risks intrinsically tied to manned space travel, emphasizing the urgent need for flawless engineering and stringent design standards. The cascade of failures not only endangers the astronauts' safe return to Earth, but also threatens to undermine the very foundation of human space exploration, upon which we've built our ambitions. The narrative intensified further when Elon Musk made a startling revelation about hidden flaws plaguing the Starliner. Through his position in the aerospace industry, Musk brought to light safety oversights that transcended simple technical malfunctions, implying a deeper, more systemic issue with Boeing's quality control practices. His remarks not only captured attention, but spurred intensified scrutiny regarding Boeing's engineering protocols, as competitors seized the opportunity to highlight potential vulnerabilities within the Starliner program. These revelations stirred the pot, prompting a reassessment of what it means to ensure safety in an arena where human lives are at stake. But let's talk about that for a sec. SpaceX versus Boeing. The implications of these discoveries are astonishingly profound, with SpaceX, a key ally in NASA's commercial endeavors, casting a shadow of doubt on the Starliner's safety integrity. The prospect that operational capabilities could be compromised looms ever larger. This uncertainty leads to a questioning of existing safety protocols, compelling both NASA and Boeing to go back to the drawing board and reevaluate their operational procedures as well as their expectations for future manned missions. The pressure is escalating for Boeing, demanding transparency and accountability in addressing these critical flaws. The stakes are nothing less than their reputation and the future of human spaceflight as a whole. Failure to act may jeopardize everything they have worked to achieve. Elon Musk is synonymous with ambition, innovation, and a fiercely competitive spirit. His candid remarks about competitors, particularly Boeing, exemplify a personality steeped in rivalry and a desire for progress. Musk's recent statements about Boeing's shortcomings in the space race have not only drawn attention, but also served to highlight the stark contrast between his visionary approach at SpaceX and the more traditional strategies employed by established aerospace giants. Musk is known for his unfiltered communication style, often laced with humor and sharp quips aimed at undermining his competitors. This behavior isn't merely a strategy to get a laugh. Rather, it's a calculated approach to keep his companies front and center in a fast-paced industry. For example, Musk famously took jabs at Tesla's competitors, like General Motors and traditional automotive manufacturers, by highlighting their struggles to produce electric vehicles that compete with Tesla's models. His playful taunts served to elevate public awareness of SpaceX while keeping rivals off balance. When Musk directs his attention to Boeing, his critique often revolves around the notion that Boeing embodies the traditional aerospace industry, a sector characterized by lengthy development timelines, bureaucratic red tape, and a resistance to rapid innovation. While Boeing boasts a rich history of aircraft manufacturing and space exploration, its recent challenges, including significant technical setbacks with the Boeing Starliner program, have underscored a struggle to keep pace with Musk's avant-garde vision for space travel. In stark contrast, SpaceX has achieved significant milestones that showcase its agility and commitment to innovation. SpaceX became the first private company to send astronauts to the International Space Station in May 2020 with its Crew Dragon spacecraft. Following this success, Musk's company made headlines with the development and deployment of reusable rocket technology, which drastically reduces the cost of space travel. The Falcon 9 rocket's first stage has been reused multiple times, over 60 landings as of mid-2024, demonstrating not only an embrace of sustainability, but also a monumental leap towards the future of space exploration. This competition is ultimately a good thing for the industry, but we just need to focus on the people up there. What about the stranded astronauts? The psychological effects on astronauts are emerging as a crucial aspect of the ongoing crisis surrounding the Boeing Starliner program. Beyond the glaring technical and operational failures, the mental toll inflicted on these space travelers demands urgent attention. The extended isolation of living aboard the International Space Station, coupled with the haunting uncertainty regarding their eventual return home, creates a perfect storm of stress and anxiety that is anything but trivial. This is not just a matter of endurance enduring inconvenience. It digs deep into the very core of their well-being and performance. I mean, they are, after all, trained to handle the myriad challenges that come with life in space. However, the reality of facing an indefinite stay aboard the International Space Station places an unprecedented burden on their mental health. What was supposed to be a finite mission has transformed into an unplanned and grueling ordeal. The weight of isolation manifests in various ways. Emotional fatigue creeps in, and with it comes a potential breakdown of teamwork dynamics and morale. This deterioration is particularly concerning. In the confined and high-stakes environment of space, maintaining strong, responsive collaboration among crew members is critical for operational effectiveness and safety. Yet, the psychological burdens do not stand alone. They intertwine with pressing health concerns exacerbated by the ongoing scarcity of supplies. As time drags on and resources begin to dwindle, the grim reality of rationing basic necessities like food and essential items becomes an ever-present specter. Each passing day heightens the urgency of the situation, forcing astronauts to confront the dual challenges of sustaining their physical health in a fragile microgravity setting while simultaneously grappling with the need to uphold their mental resilience. The limitations on fresh food, recreational activities, and social interactions plunge them into discomfort, leading to a decline in overall well-being. Their emotional and physical health are inextricably linked to the essentials that have now become scarce. The isolation only serves to amplify their struggles. But what now? How did the world react to this? Let's dissect it together. Boeing and NASA find themselves confronting a whirlwind of challenges, each requiring deft navigation of defense strategies, shifts in operations, and the management of public perception. The responses from these influential entities reveal not just a readiness, but a desperate need to tackle the crisis with urgency while pondering the path forward in the perilous realm of human spaceflight. This is not just a moment of reckoning, it's a pivotal chapter in the ongoing saga of space exploration. Boeing's defense is anything but subtle. It's a vigorous proclamation. With scrutiny mounting and frustrations boiling over, the corporation has unfurled its banner of commitment to safety. Executives, when confronted by probing questions and skeptical eyes, have repeated a mantra designed to soothe concerns. Public statements overflow with reassurances of robust safety protocols, an arsenal crafted to mend the technical weaknesses that have surfaced. Boeing acknowledges the gravity of its situation and pledges to leave no stone unturned. Investigations will be meticulous, and crucial adjustments to the Starliner systems will follow, all aimed at safeguarding the astronauts on future missions. The aim? To instill confidence, not just in NASA, but to all stakeholders, including the public and investors, echoing their resolve to produce a spacecraft that's trustworthy and dependable. This dedication extends to improvements within their engineering processes, an increase in oversight activities, and vigorous collaboration with NASA to meticulously adhere to rigorous safety standards. However, Boeing's plight does not end with the technicalities. The turbulence of public perception poses a significant hurdle. The corporation finds itself in a fierce struggle, a dual-front war where, on one battlefield, they work tirelessly to rectify the Starliner's flaws. On the other, they must grapple with the deluge of public criticism threatening its reputation. Recent headlines have not been kind, framing Boeing's challenges in stark, troubling terms. And recognizing the urgent need for damage control, the company has shifted into crisis mode, where public relations tactics take center stage. Transparent communication becomes non-negotiable. The narrative must shift to reflect accountability and resolve. Frequent press briefings and updates on remediation actions serve to mitigate fears while slowly rebuilding trust. Each message is carefully crafted, not merely stating that setbacks occurred, but framing them as valuable lessons learned. Boeing's narrative seeks to transform the perception of failure into a tale of perseverance, an inspiring epic of overcoming adversity against the odds. As Boeing confronts its challenges, it's clear that the path forward will not be easy. With every press briefing and safety announcement, they strive not just for recovery, but for redemption in the eyes of critics who have sharpened their knives. Its future hangs in the balance, marked by the hopes and fears of those who dare to reach for the cosmos. Can they reclaim their narrative and restore their legacy as leaders in aerospace innovation? Only time will tell. But what about NASA's? What's their next steps? Well, as the challenges surrounding the troubled Boeing Starliner continue to mount, NASA has found itself in a perilous position that compels a thorough reassessment of its partnerships and dependencies in the critical arena of crewed space missions. The agency, renowned for its unwavering commitment to safety and exploration, now faces the daunting task of reevaluating its strategies. But over the years, NASA has cultivated a fruitful partnership with SpaceX, a relationship solidified through the successful Crew Dragon missions that have transported astronauts to the International Space Station. With each successful mission, SpaceX solidifies its reputation as a capable contender in the field of crew transport. In light of the mounting complications with the Starliner, there is an unmistakable shift occurring within NASA. Increasingly, they are recognizing the necessity of relying more heavily on SpaceX for upcoming crew missions to the International Space Station. This strategy serves as a critical safeguard for astronaut safety. The agency finds itself actively exploring varied options, contemplating a more profound partnership with SpaceX for both immediate and future crew transport needs. This evolving dependence carries significant ramifications, placing Boeing under a microscope and subjecting their credibility and reliability to heightened scrutiny. Can Boeing reassess its strategy and find a way to reclaim trust from the very agency that had once placed its hopes in them? And at the same time, the landscape surrounding Boeing's role in the transition to a new era of human spaceflight seems to be shifting dramatically. Given the myriad of challenges surrounding the Starliner program, NASA is now tasked with the urgent necessity to reassess Boeing's contributions to the commercial crew program. This period of reflection is not merely academic, it carries potentially game-changing implications for Boeing. The agency might adopt a more cautious approach as a result. What does that mean for Boeing's future involvement? It could lead to a potential reallocation of missions and projects, an outcome that would likely leave Boeing on the sidelines unless the company can swiftly demonstrate restored trust and reliability in its systems. NASA's decision-making process will inevitably fixate on critical factors, ensuring both safety and operational efficiency. In a world where any oversight could have cataclysmic consequences, the stakes could not be higher. Should Boeing fail to convince stakeholders of its reliability, the consequences would be severe. The company might find its standing within the space industry fundamentally altered, relegated to the background as NASA charts a new course without them. What lies ahead is not just a reimagining of a program, but a potential reshaping of space exploration as we know it. But what are the implications of all this?